Welcome to This Week in Morgan County. I'm your host, Russell Mokhiber. Our guest this week is Aaron Hackett. Aaron is a candidate for the 66th House of Delegates district here in West Virginia. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and raised, and give us some family history.
I was born in Fairfax County, Virginia. My family's originally from West Virginia. My grandfather was a public school teacher. Like so many teachers, even today, he moved to Virginia so that he could make more money.
That was your grandfather?
Yes, that was my grandfather.
Yeah.
And when my parents had me, we moved back to Jefferson County. So I moved there when I was 6 years old, and I've lived there since.
Okay. And what's your current work?
I work in childcare. Before and after school care, I'm what's called a site supervisor. So I run the child care program at C.W. Shipley, which is an elementary school near Harper's Ferry.
And what made you decide to run for public office?
I am just tired of politics in West Virginia. I've seen so many of my peers and friends have to move out of the state, and it's not just young people who have to move out of the state either. We're the only state in the country that has a declining population. We are ranked 50th for millennials. We're ranked 50th for jobs. And so often I see politicians talk about a comeback that we're on. And I feel like I'm living in an entirely different West Virginia than they are because I don't see it.
And you're running in the 66th district, which is in Jefferson County.
Yes.
And it's interesting what's happening in Jefferson County because you have a Danish multinational, Rockwool.
Correct.
They take rocks, they put a lot of heat on it, they burn it, they spin it into insulation. Not a bad product. But the population is upset, part of the population upset, because they don't think Jefferson County is the place to put it.
Right.
And in fact, it has become a political issue in Jefferson County to the degree that two candidates for House of Delegates in the 65th, Sammy Brown, won her election, in part based on the Rockwool issue. This was the last election. And John Doyle in the 67th, the other two districts in Jefferson County, won in large part based on Rockwool. And this race is going to be a race of Aaron Hackett, who's opposed to this facility coming to Jefferson County, and Paul Espinosa, who's the incumbent, who is the House Majority Leader, Majority Whip. And he is in favor of it. In fact, he was just hired by Rockwool to be their spokesperson. All right, so this is going to be Rockwool. Give us the case against Rockwool in Jefferson County.
Well, first and foremost, the amount of coal and gas that it will use on a daily basis is absurd. I believe it's something like 90 tons of coal every single day. And then you have the air pollution that it's going to have. You have the issues with water. But it's not just an environmental issue. It's also an economic issue where you're giving a corporation like this tax breaks with a pilot agreement, but actually that pilot agreement was just thrown out in court.
Judge Hammer came down with a ruling.
Correct.
And what did he say about the pilot agreement?
It's not a legitimate agreement. It's, at this point, just a proposal. So that saves taxpayers $12 million, and I think that's a good thing. And I think that we need to stop trying to build an economy by bringing in large out-of-state corporations with tax breaks or subsidies, and we need to learn how to invest in ourselves in our own communities.
Now, this was what we call corporate cronyism, corporate socialism.
Correct.
Corporate welfare.
Yeah.
This is to say, hey, you're a multinational, you don't need our help, but we're going to give you $12 million of our hard-earned tax money so you can come to Jefferson County. And these other two races, Sammy Brown and John Doyle, were really interesting because unlike a lot of West Virginia, Jefferson County is like a third independent, a third Democrat, and a third Republican. Is that the same for the 66th?
No, I would say that the 66 has more Republicans and independents than Democrats.
Okay, so why did you decide to run as a Democrat?
I believe that we can do a lot to change what it means to be a Democrat in this state.
What does it mean now?
There are a lot of Democrats who are still owned by coal, who are corporate owned, and I think that we need a political party that represents communities and the interests of people directly, and not those corporations, and not heavy industry or fossil fuels or whatever else.
In your district, among your neighbors, how would you say it breaks down on those who support Rockwool and those who oppose it?
I'm not sure exactly, but I know this is an issue that crosses party lines. There are plenty of people who are Republican, independent, libertarian, whatever, Democrat, who oppose Rockwool. It's not a partisan issue at all. It's just people who are concerned about their community.
When Rockwool decided to hire Paul Espinosa as a full-time, put him on full-time salary as their spokesperson,
Right.
Sammy Brown said that a corporation has just purchased a legislator.
Correct.
Tell us when you heard the news, what did you think about it?
I was so angry, and I think Sammy got it spot on. He's essentially going to be paid to be the face of this corporation in the community, and it's not like he's an expert on what's going to go on in the facility. I've seen people relate it to teachers being in the legislature and being able to talk on issues of education, and that's not it at all, because he's just representing this corporation. He's just the face of it, and he's using the political network that he's built over his 8 years in office, well, almost 8 years, and he's going to use that to the benefit of Rockwool, and that's just immoral in my opinion.
Okay, but we do have a citizen legislature. That means that you're going to only make, if you're elected, your salary is going to be $20,000. You're going to have to keep your job.
Correct.
Everybody's going to have to keep their job.
Yeah.
Or get work. So you're not saying Paul Espinosa should not go out and seek gainful employment.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I think that job, it's just not right for somebody of his position of power to also be in that job, because he's been elected to represent the people. And when you have so many people who opposed Rockwool and you're being the face of Rockwool in the community, that's just a huge conflict. You're working against so many of your own constituents.
Right. So then, I mean, what I was thinking of, okay, we actually need to come to an understanding of like the moral ethical line. Where is it? What you're saying is, if you want to work for the school district, fine. If you want to work for many corporations in Jefferson County, fine. But there are some corporations you shouldn't work for. Which corporations are you saying you shouldn't work for?
I mean, legally he can work for whoever.
No, I mean, but what you're saying.
But for me, I wouldn't work for Rockwool. I wouldn't work for Big Pharma. I wouldn't work for corporations like that. I wouldn't. I'm not going to do it.
You wouldn't work for a coal company or a tobacco company,
right? Or
an opioid company.
No, I would not.
And the reason is?
I mean, Big Pharma, just with the opioid crisis, they're fueling it. You have Rockwool that is causing a community to be divided. You have tobacco, which any kind of corporation that hurts people in the way that these do, I'm not going to be a part of it. Right. And that's just me personally.
Now, other than Rockwool, what issues do you think will play in your race? What issues are you going to be raising?
Education. I am a strong opponent of charter schools. I never missed a day on the picket lines with teachers in my county. And when I ran for Board of Education, actually the school that I attended and worked at for a while, the teachers wrote me their own endorsement letter. So I am strongly in favor of standing with teachers and having their backs at all times. I also think we need to look at how we do economic development. And this is what brought Rockwool here, is that so often in this state, we just try to bring in these big corporations. We use tax breaks, subsidies, things like that. And instead of doing that, we need to take that money and have some kind of program where we can give venture capital to small businesses, to farmers, nonprofits, entrepreneurs, people in our community who are part of our small business community, who are part of our farming community, who know how they can expand their own business, and we can grow our economy from within, using our own tax dollars for our own people, instead of trying to get these corporations.
And so as I see it developing for your campaign, let's say if we're going to try to imagine how you would beat an incumbent Republican who's in the leadership, It looks as if there's a chunk of the community who's opposed to Rockwool who will vote for you, both Republican, Democrat, and Independent. There's a chunk of the teachers who don't like what Espinosa did in terms of charter schools who will vote with you. And there's small businesses and small farmers who like your platform. Is that enough to put you over the top, or do you have some other issue do you think that will play?
I think it's about connecting with people. As much as we can talk about issues, we're going to have to get out and we're going to have to reach people in the community, because that's not what Paul Espinosa is going to do. He's not going to go meet people at their front doors and talk to people in the community. But I'm going to do that. And we can talk about Sammy Brown and how people say she won on Rockwool, but she knocked a whole lot of doors. And that's why she was able to win. And I'm going to build a army of volunteers, and we're going to go knock as many doors as we can, and we're going to meet people at their front doors in their community, and that's how I think we're going to win.
Now, when we were speaking before the interview, we talked about what your fears were about this campaign. Why don't you relate to us what you're worried about?
Right. Politics just gets dirty, and that's just how it is. About a week and a half after I announced my campaign, this group in Jefferson County called Jefferson County Prosperity, which is, they're essentially just trying to manipulate the community into supporting Rockwool. And they took a picture of me with a red flag from a teacher rally. So it's red for ed, everyone's wearing
education.
red, right. And I have a red flag in support, because red. And they took that picture and they posted it on their page trying to say that I was an open communist and share it around.
They used the word communist?
They called me a communist. And I actually had the person who took the picture, she commented on their page and she was like, I took this picture, Aaron was standing with teachers like he always has been. This is ridiculous, you need to take it down. And then a bunch of other people commented as well, and they ended up deleting it, because people like that are only interested in manipulating people. They have no interest in dialogue or anything like that, and that's what troubles me with politics.
Well, are you a Bernie Sanders supporter?
I voted for him in the primary in 2016.
Okay, and will you be supporting him this time around in West Virginia?
I have a couple people I like.
Okay, a couple people you like. Well, the thing about Bernie Sanders, he calls himself a democratic socialist.
Right.
So that's democratic socialism means Medicare for all, single payer, $15 minimum wage, public libraries, public police, public fire departments,
right.
Government. Corporate socialism, Republican socialism, means tax breaks for wealthy corporations when they don't need it, like the $12 million that Rockwool got. So it's actually would have got had Hammer not stepped in, but they're probably going to appeal it.
Yeah.
So it's actually a battle of socialisms. Do you want to have socialism for the corporations and the wealthy, or socialism for the people? And is that what this race is going to be about, a battle of socialisms?
I don't know about that. I think it's just about having somebody who works for corporations. I mean, he takes money from Comcast. He takes money from Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company, coal and natural gas, all of those things. And now he works for Rockwool on top of that. So you have somebody who has become very friendly with corporations and corporate interests in West Virginia. And then me, I'm going out of my way to try to get individual donations just from people in the community. I've actually already raised more in individual donations than the 2018 Democratic candidate. And I'm just trying to go out and build a grassroots campaign to try to get people in the community involved who haven't been involved before, meet people at their doors, and connect with the community. And he's just going to spend a bunch of money.
By the way, we invited Paul Espinosa to be on the show, and he called and he said he thinks it's a little too early. You don't even have the nomination yet. There might be a Democratic primary challenger. Is there any indication there will be a Democratic primary challenger?
I don't believe there will be at this point.
We're going to have, we're going to continue to have these kinds of interviews. So Paul's welcome to come on at any time.
Yeah, I would love him to come on. Come on, Paul.
And we'll do, and we will have a debate on the issues.
Yeah, I love debates. I'm all for it.
Okay, so give us one more issue that you think might resonate with the community in Jefferson County in the run-up to the campaign next year.
internet. People are sick and tired of Comcast and Frontier. They provide terrible customer service. Their accessibility is greatly lacking. And like I said, Paul took money from Comcast.
And he worked for Frontier, didn't he?
Correct, yeah. And what we need to do is we need to find a way around those companies so that we can build infrastructure to get into the modern era, so that we can have people who can work remote jobs. We can bring in businesses who need internet accessibility, actual quality internet. And that's just something that I think everybody really needs, and nothing is being done about internet.
Okay. And if people wanted to contribute to your campaign, to help you on the campaign, how they get in touch with you?
I have a Facebook page, Hackett for House. I have a Twitter and Instagram, it's Hackett WVA. I have an ActBlue that you can follow, go through on those pages. And then my phone number is 304-620-5964. I'll give that out because I'm accessible to the people.
All right, great. So, and just to make sure of this, so we get your commitment, if Paul Espinosa agrees to a debate, might you come on and debate him?
Oh, I'm in. Okay. Absolutely.
Great.
I'm excited.
All right, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for watching This Week in Morgan County.